I'm gonna hack the top off a ribeye steak and it's gonna be even better. Just watch. Hey, I'm Jess Pryles. I am the founder of Hardcore Carnivore, and this is your home for all videos, meat info, live fire grilling. We're here because things taste good, right? Now, today we got a really unusual hack. When you look at a ribeye steak, there's the eye of the ribeye, and then there's a little cap muscle that sits on top. And when you're buying a whole ribeye roll, which is not a cheap endeavor, but completely worth it, what you can do is this one simple hack, because that spinalis or that ribeye cap is actually the best cut on the whole dang cow. I promise you, or steer, whichever. Same animal, different version. The point is, it's full of flavor, it's super tender, and if you cut that whole cap off and cook it whole, you still end up with incredible ribeye steaks and a very special treat. Here's how. You need to start with what we call a ribeye roll, which is basically a whole chunk of ribeye, the whole section before it's been cut into little steaks. And here you can see I'm identifying the cap muscle itself. So you can see the eye area, which is where your strip steaks actually come from as well, and then this little cap that sits over the top, and that's what we're gonna separate. And use your hands a lot for this too. You can always use kind of your thumb or your finger as a guide, because there is a seam that runs between these two muscles, and that cap will run the length of that ribeye roll. So I start by kind of using my thumb to find the seam and find that gap between that cap and that eye muscle, and then I'm gonna go in with my knife. And I'm using a Gerber fillet knife for this. You want to use a flexible fillet or boning knife because it's just going to give you the best result. It is the right tool for the job, which is important. And it'll let you get in there with the tiny point of the blade and do the work for you. So I'm gonna start by just separating that cap out, and then I use my knife to just keep going. I can use my thumb to check that I'm in the right area, and just go ahead and follow that seam, keep separating until you've cut the whole way through, and you end up with two pieces, your definitive ribeye eye section and then your cap section, which you can see needs a little bit more work. There's a little bit of cleaning yet to do. With the eye section at this point, you can either cut it into steaks and go ahead and cook them, or you can freeze it whole like that too. There are these really tough kind of sinewy pieces that run the entire length of the cap, and we have to take those off. It's gonna result in a better eating quality experience. Basically, your steak is gonna taste better, it's gonna be more tender, it's gonna be incredible as long as you take this stuff off, because this is the stuff that ends up being really kind of chewy and not so fun to eat. So you wanna take that thin fillet knife again, or boning knife, and put it in parallel just under whatever you want to cut off, and gently work your way until you've cut through the whole thing and cleaned up that cap to be nice and sinew-free, and that means it's ready to be cooked. Here's the other thing that makes this cut so incredible. Once you do trim it all off, it is very, very even, and that means it's going to be super easy to cook. In fact, it nearly looks like a skirt steak. And because this is sort of the Rolls Royce of beef, I'm going to be really, really simple with my seasoning and just use kosher salt. I use a lot of it, but that's all I'm going with today. And I'm going to put that over a really hot fire. I'm going to cook this hot and fast, and my trick is to keep flipping it. I know there are people who are like, never flip it, just leave it. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but you are. I think the right way to do this is to keep flipping it, because that way you'll develop this incredible crust as you go over a really hot fire or really hot coals without overcooking the middle. So after I get this to the internal temperature I'm looking for, which in this case is going to be between 130 and 135, which is about rare to medium rare, I'm going to go ahead and take it off the grill, and I'm going to rest it. The rest is equally as important, and I'm going to give it a good 10 minutes loosely covered by foil. Now I'm gonna prove to you why that flip a lot method actually works. My steak has rested and it's time to cut. So I'm gonna go and cut against the grain, which means instead of going the direction that the muscle fibers are running in, I'm cutting straight across that, which is again gonna make a big difference to that steak being tender. And well, you can see for yourself, that is a perfect medium rare. So that's it, the Spinalis Dorsi, the ribeye cap, the king of steaks. Cutting it directly off the ribeye roll is an incredible way for you to be able to experience this epic cut yourself. This is how you have your steak and eat it too.